Hi, Eiman. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So I just want you to start by telling our audience how to pronounce your name. I'm always not sure about people's pronunciation, so please tell us how you pronounce your own name.
Iman
Iman.
Aziz.
Iman Aziz. Okay, that's
Yes.
good to know. So, Iman, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you grew up, where you were born, your family life, and then we'll get into the art stuff.
The family life is I was born in Michigan and born and raised in Michigan. My mother is was from Cairo. My mother's from Cairo, and my father from Alexandria, Egypt. And they moved. My mother worked at the embassy, agricultural embassy in Cairo, and my father worked in Zurich as a design engineer there. So basically, we basically moved to. Um, my father was an engineer. We moved to. So I speak the language, Egyptian by nationality, but born and raised in Michigan. So I actually, and then I did my grad school there, and
Mm-hmm.
then eventually, but I always was working at museums like the DI, the Detroit Institute of Arts. Um, while I was an undergrad, and then eventually always minoring in art history and finance, and then eventually going to Oxford in London, same thing, art history and finance.
Well, that's a really useful combination in today's day and age where art has,
Yeah.
well, I guess it always was, but more so now than ever, a huge asset and part of people's portfolio. So tell us a little bit about how you got into the art world and what you do in art.
So that's an interesting question. And I wanted to see, oops, oh, I lost you for a second. Uh, let's see.
I think your camera is off now.
Uh, well, let's see. My camera's off. Well, art has always been integral to both my personal and professional life. I mean, I was born and raised, like I said, in Michigan, but the truth is, um, effectively raised Egyptian. But art is being experienced and enjoyed. Basically, oops, my camera.
Yeah, okay, it's back on now. Uh-huh.
Okay, yeah. So, um, I basically got into the art world because um while I was in London, I I was chair of arts and culture at the firm, and so I was always doing initiatives for the firm from an art perspective. I curated the uh I curated bankers become bankers become artists for a day, and it was amazing to see all the talents come out. I interviewed we had about 600 people there, and it was it just amazing to see like the right mind of these artists, because we had 300 submissions. And then I worked with uh opera gallery at that time, but now Alouche gallery.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the judges. I had, because I also, because I worked at the Brooklyn Museum, um giving tours there, so I always yeah, it was just amazing to see the amount of artwork that we got in. And we also had a judge and so forth, and the Brooklyn Museum partnered up with me. So
Oh, that sounds really cool. And you've done some work curating public collections or corporate collections, as well as working with artists like Carol Feuerman. I think you modeled for one of her sculptures. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about how those two things came about.
Well, I had met Carol through I met Carol actually a couple years back, and I loved her artwork. I met her at a gallery, and she she was she was just I just was just amazed by, since she's the founder of hyperrealism, um and her sculptures were on patrons of Park Avenue, all the swimmers now, and now they're in South Street Seaport. You don't even know, like you can't tell if they're real or not because because of the casting process. So she cast a cast on them, and you have to sit for basically a certain amount of time in that cast. So that's how she captures the reality of the the that's why they look so real. Is she real or is she not real? And now she has her diver. She had her diver actually, and still has her diver in front of the Eiffel Tower for the Olympics. So the mayor of Paris invited her to put that diver in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Wow.
It's called the diver. It's just absolutely amazing. And so she's gone to Geneva. She's won now. She has a book out. But I was actually I was sculpted by Carol Fearman, and I was uh featured in Art Miami, and it's a sculpture of me listening to a seashell. So, and it was pretty an amazing experience to go through that. And I was one of six editions, or I should say, the sculpture of me was one of six editions. And she called me the goddess. And then since she has the cast of me, she just reproduced 15 more, one of 15. And I'm now published in her sort of compilation of her book. So I'm published in her book now.
Well, that's pretty cool. So you've been immortalized in sculpture.
You know what? Somebody told me that, Nicolette, and I was like, oh my gosh, if God forbid something happens to me, I guess I'm immortalized.
Well, I mean, something will happen to all of us, but not right now. Um, so tell me a little bit about how your work is affected these days with the trends that we see going on with how art is bought and sold, sort of like AI in art. You know, everyone's talking about AI in art. How has that affected what
Yeah.
you do?
I mean, I think, well, first of all, just to go back with what, you're asking me about some of the project, I did curate the Mandarin Oriental and the Ritz-Carlton. And, with Art Beyond Advisory, with my company, I take art beyond the white gallery concept, which means like I'm working now on different projects, which is a dome in a immersive experience, sort of like a dome, as if like U2, the dome.
Hmm.
And these domes, and so there's a dome that's going to be in front of the Egyptian Museum, which Qatar invested in, and it's $1 billion museum. And it's the larger than the Louvre, larger than collected all the Egyptian into larger than the Met. So that immersive experience at the dome, that's a current project of mine, but as well as my curations of, the still keeping up with the Ritz and the Mandarin and the restaurants, and also because I take it out of the white gallery, and people do that, as well as, the VIP tours that I give at the MoMA, because I went from um the Brooklyn, or the Brooklyn Museum for Basquiat, and then the Met, and then the Museum of Modern Art.
And these tours are with the members or with a group of people who you...
I won an award called the Emeritus Award. So I go in with, it's like a white glove service. So I do like white glove VIP tours.
Okay. Sounds really cool. And you work with private clients as well? Like, do you advise people about what they buy or sometimes sell things that belong in people's collections?
Yeah, I mean, whether it be contemporary or advisory, yes, I have done that. And advisory on, you know, what, you know, I think you buy for you buy what you're passionate about, and then you you know, you buy what you see that you're passionate about, and then you actually I think that that passion translates into something, you know, for the future. But I have advised a lot of clients on certain things, like, you know, for appreciation and so forth.
And what sort of advice would you give to a young collector? Let's say someone comes to you, he's a young banker and he's like, oh, I want to start buying art. What advice would you give him at this juncture in art history and the art market?
I mean, I think that as as I said, I think, you know, you buy, I mean, for young collectors, I see a lot of changes in young collectors because they want their personality to be you know, to be, they want something that is part of them, and they want a story. And they want a story, not just, you know, something that is epic and touches their you know, their hearts and so forth. So when I young collectors ask me, oh, should I buy, I mean, I have that happen a lot. Like, should I, you know, that a certain person came, should I buy this, Iman, or should I said, well, what do you think of it? He's like, I think I love it, but I just don't know if it's gonna be, you know, worth something. And so I said, well, you should, I think it's a great piece, and I think it's a very, you know, a very interesting piece, and I think you should, you know, you should go for it. And with young collectors. And as far as like AI, I've been seeing a lot of AI, you know, they put a ballerina, you know, you say like, okay, put, I can tell when things are AI art, you know, and you know, put a ballerina in front of the Empire State Building,
Right.
you know, and then it happens. It's like there's a ballerina in front of the Empire State Building, and then it gets posted, and it's like, I'm not sure that conversation. I mean, as far as AI with art, you know, that's something happening. Also, what's happening is digital art. You know, digital art is really, um, it's really taking off aside from AI, meaning that, like, we have a huge screen of digital art. It's like a very you know, you watch these waves crashing, but it's almost like it's going into your face,
Yeah, but
you know.
who's the we you're talking about? We have like what, one of your collections or...
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm talking about the Museum of Modern Art.
Ah, okay, okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal what's going on there. But you also see a lot of digital things going on. I mean, also the immersive experiences, you
Hmm.
know, between Van Gogh, Klimt, you know, these immersive experiences. But I'm working on an immersive experience with it's going to be a dome in front of the Egyptian Museum, and that's going to be, it's going to be called I Am Cleopatra now.
Oh, wow. I was gonna ask you that next. What are you currently working on? So can you tell us a little bit about it, or is it still private?
It's still a little bit private, but Carol had a sculpt. There's 10 artists that were selected to be in front of the pyramids, and her sculpture. called, it was a uh say it was a statue that was, I mean, from Greece. 10 artists were selected, but
Mhm.
it was a bronze sculpture in front of the pyramids.
Okay.
So yeah.
Do you have a
So
bunch of artists that you work with? Like, is Carol the main one that you work with?
oh
Would
no, I represent a lot of different artists. I represent a lot, yeah. Because it depends also what my client wants. So with the Ritz-Carlton, it was very much like, it was off of Central Park. So I had to work with, find something that was regal for the Ritz. Mandarin, I sourced from different galleries out in the Hamptons, a couple from the Hamptons and a couple from here. So yeah, no, I work with several artists.
right. And you said you're based part-time in the Hamptons?
Yeah, in the Hamptons and then also in Palm Beach.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's a good triumvirate here in the
Yeah.
on the East Coast. And what are your plans for the coming year in terms of art fairs? I know some people are still doing the whole circuit of going around and checking out stuff. I mean, do you have plans for any of the upcoming fairs?
Um, I think the one I would like, I did go to the FIAC art fair in Paris, and that was one of my favorites. But as far as the art fairs coming up, I, you know, I don't want to say anything about Art Basel, but I think that I went to a conference. I went to a conference recently. It was at Deloitte, and they were saying that, the art fairs are some of the art that like the freeze is great. Freeze is great. But some of the art fairs like the Art Basel, it's gotten to be a little bit saturated a little bit.
Well,
And
because there's so many of them.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them, and I think that market. I mean, I like the park, the park armory,
Mm-hmm.
that one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I like I like that one, and I also like I like to go to, yeah, those types of fairs, which
Mm-hmm.
are a little bit because you see it's more condensed.
Yeah, yeah, I see what you mean. And it's not so exhausting to take in the whole idea of this huge space with this plethora of galleries and artists. It is a bit overwhelming at times.
It's like Pier 20, all the piers that are going on. And so I like to go somewhere where like also where you have a condensed gallery, the galleries that are very not like all like 200 galleries,
Yeah, yeah. Sort of curated, sort of like put together around a theme like they do sometimes at the Armory in New York or something like that.
Right, exactly.
And well, tell us again, because you have done some of these curatorial projects for corporations and for private people. How
Oh
do you
yeah.
create your exhibitions? Like, do you get a theme or how does it work when you put together something like at the Ritz?
Ideas?
Yeah.
No, actually, no, I was hired by a design group, Rockwell Group actually,
Mhm.
and I worked with the designer, so we were able to have interesting synergies together. And I knew what to do because I needed to find um, Central Park artwork, but it was like a little bit of a challenge because there's a lot of realism out there. And, people, let's say you go to Paris, they're painting the Eiffel Tower on the streets, or,
Right.
the, and, and then it's, those painters, and then you have people painting, the realism. I must have met with so many artists to find what I was looking for, but finally I found it, and it was more of like monotypes. So it was and I don't know if you saw them when you went to because if you went to, well, I think they changed it up a little bit, but there were like monotypes, and to follow sort of that, but I framed them in French gold,
Okay.
and like more of a contemporary French gold, but it was more very whimsical. And I found them in um this particular gallery is in the Hamptons and also in Chelsea.
Oh, okay. So then a lot of the work that you're getting for these projects, you're getting directly out of galleries.
Uh, no, directly out of clients, like people that hotels or so forth that contact me, or restaurants that I like. For example, the chef for the Yankees, he contacted me. I was out east. He's like, I need you to curate. I'm opening a restaurant. He was following around uh the Yankees to make sure, he's a private chef, was making sure that they ate right and so forth. So he's like, I need you to curate, my restaurant. So it was a lot of different things, and I did curate it from different artists. In fact, the piece sitting behind me, which is it's a
Yeah.
bison,
Hmm.
that was there.
Well, that's an interesting combination, because we were talking about art and finance before, and now you brought in hotels and restaurants, and even now sports. So we've pretty much covered a wide range of interests. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we don't really,
Yeah.
I mean, in my world, I never really think about the people in the sports world who are involved in buying art or curating things for their spaces, but I know that there are a few that exist.
Oh yeah, because one of my friends who's still in the investment firm, who I'm still close to a lot of them, he represents basketball players. And when you specifically, when you get out, let's say you're, I don't call it the Denver Nuggets. I mean, don't ask me how I know all this stuff, but I I do because of what I did. Because I also curated the New York Yankee Steakhouse.
Oh, okay.
So I learned a lot about, I did a whole talk, because sometimes I do also bespoke experiences where I do like meet and greet, or like these experiences where I do the talks. And so I did a talk at the New York Yankee Steakhouse, so I learned all with the marketing director. There's a vault there that has Babe Ruth and all those players with the vintage contracts that actually had their fathers sign because they were too young.
Wow. Wow.
So these vintage, they're all these contracts. So I gave a tour to this private club, and I gave, went through and studied the whole thing. But to tell you, on that point, these guys, like when they get out, they're making millions of dollars. So, and I know that they wanted to, one of them is like, Iman, I really want to get into art. So, anyways, it's very interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it's interesting. For myself, I think about the people who I know who've transitioned from finance to art, and they always have something interesting to say from a different perspective than the people like myself who have always just sort of been involved in art in one capacity or another. I mean, it's a good balance to have your brain working in a different way sometimes in the art world.
Yeah, well, I mean, I also work with the blue chip art too. See, that's the thing. So I work with it's just different things. Servicing, consulting, and with the blue chip artwork, working on something right now with a gentleman who wants to build a museum, and he is looking for, a lot of blue chip artwork. So,
Right. Well, I don't know. Is there anything that you wanted to add that I haven't asked you as yet? I know we just have a few more minutes.
I mean, just to add that I feel, I contributed an article for passion or love.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an article where a lot of after the market crash, people were investing in art funds, violin funds, you know, wine funds, all this stuff. Might as well have been investing in air.
Oh my God. I mean, I won't even get into that discussion right now. That's going to be a whole episode on its own. I mean, so many stories over the years, and they just go on and on.
Yeah, I know. But she did give me her uh I did get Carol did gift me her my head.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. After sitting there for how many minutes did you have to sit with the cast on you?
45 minutes for each part.
Oh my God, 45 minutes each part of your body and breathing
Yeah.
through two little holes when the mask is on your face.
Yes, because I couldn't talk. Yes.
Amazing. I mean, that's really love for art. That's yeah. Yeah, you've done your
You
time.
know what? I gotta tell you, I can't. My mom they were collectors. My mom and my dad would go to the Detroit Institute of Arts, and they loved art so much. And they loved it. And I don't think I could, even in my heart, I don't think I could live with art or nature.
Without it. Yeah, yeah. I understand that. I completely understand.
It's
Well,
like it's ingrained.
yes, yeah, it's in your blood.
And my name, by the way, it's Iman and it's Aziz. And Iman means faith, and Aziz means happy in
Great.
Arabic.
Yeah, faith and happy, happy faith.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having the faith to meet up today. I really appreciate
Well, thank
the time you
you. Thank
took
you,
to do
Nicolette.
this. Yeah, and we'll be in touch soon, okay?
Sounds great.
Have a
Okay.
great
And
week.
all the best wishes to you.
Okay.
And I look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank
Yeah,
you so much.
you too. Take care.
Merci and shukran in Arabic.
Yes, okay. Yeah, that's good.